Hello and welcome. This is the 9 p.m. daily quiz where we analyze some of the most important topics covered in today's newspaper like the Hindu, Indian Express, the PIB, even the Down to Earth magazine and convert them into prelim specific questions to discuss here today. Thank you so much for joining in. If you're here for the first time, do hit the subscribe and the like button as well. Before we begin today's quiz, just a quick reminder of a couple of programs that I'm running on my own app. One is the Mastering UPSC Mains Understanding program. Many of you have already joined it. Many of you have started this program where I am personally mentoring people to write answers. It's one of my mentorship program. It's a weekly program. It goes on for about 20 weeks or so. You can get all more information from my app. You can download the app from the Google Play Store. Also, I've started the PSIR optional course yesterday. Yesterday we had our first class. If you still want to join in, you can. Again, you can register through my app. This is the name of the app. You can download from the Google Play Store. Now let's begin the quiz today. As I've been saying earlier as well, the best way to attempt this quiz would be when you see the question, pause on that screen, think about what the answer is, then check whether your answer was right or wrong, and in the comment section, let me know what your score was. First question. Consider the following statements with regards to PM Shri. Number 1. It is a centrally sponsored scheme for upgradation and development of more than 14,500 schools across the country. Second, it will showcase all components of National Education Policy 2020 and act as exemplar schools, also offer mentorship to other schools in their vicinity. Third, states have to confirm their participation by signing a memorandum of understanding with the Education Ministry, and all the states have already signed their respective MOUs. How many of these given statements are correct? So this is a scheme, as the name says, the PM Shri Yojana, specifically to revamp schools. The Government of India wanted to set up certain model schools that will exhibit how the national education policy will look like. Because you cannot force the education policy in every school, the government wanted to ensure that there are some hand-picked schools that are implementing all the provisions of the national education policy, under which the PM Shri Yojana came into the picture. The first statement is correct. It is a centrally sponsored scheme. The aim is to develop more than 14,500 schools across the country. Second, as I said, is also true. It is to display how national education policy will look like in practice. Third is wrong. See, there will be very few things where all the states have agreed to do something with the center government. The kind of relationship between the center and the state governments that exists today, where there's a lot of animosity between the states and the center government, you will see most of the states ruled by the opposition parties will not agree to something the center government wants. And that is why there are certain states that have not signed their MOUs. This is why it is in the news, because there is a dispute between certain states and the center government with respect to this scheme. The answer thus here is B. Any two are correct. The first and the second one are correct. The third statement is wrong. There is an article in today's Indian Express newspaper about how 3 opposition states have said no to PM Shri, and the center government in return has stopped the school scheme funds. These states, as you can imagine, are the ones that are ruled by the opposition parties as compared to the BJP. Delhi, Punjab, both ruled by the Aam Aadmi Party, and West Bengal. There are certain other states, as the article tells you, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Delhi, Punjab, West Bengal, that have still not signed the MOU. So MOU still is pending with certain states. Next, question number 2. Consider the following statements. Number 1. Section 9 of the Foreigners Act of 1946 puts the burden of proof on the person who is alleged to be a foreigner. So if the enforcement agencies say that he is a foreigner, he would have to prove that I am not a foreigner. Second, as per the judgment in Noor Agha versus the State of Punjab 2008, some basic facts must first be proved by the prosecution, even in cases of reverse burden of proof. Meaning that even in the cases where the person who is accused has to prove that he or she is not guilty, even then the law enforcement agencies first at least have to prove something. They can't randomly pick and choose that he is an accused person. That is the second statement. Third, the foreigners tribunals were established in 1964 under Article 323B of the Constitution. How many of these are correct? Now, this is an important topic with respect to Assam specifically. Ever since the exercise of updation of the NRC was carried out, there were many people who were termed as foreigners in Assam who could not prove their citizenship. There is a case ongoing in the Supreme Court, and because of that judgment, this topic is in the news. The first statement is true. Second is also true. The Supreme Court has said that the law enforcement agencies cannot randomly choose a person and say he is an accused. Even before putting the blame on some people and asking them to prove their innocence, even before that, the law enforcement agencies must have at least some iota of proof. Only then they can go ahead. So second is also true. Third is wrong. It is very interesting because see, when you read about tribunals, there are two articles in the constitution about them, Article 323A and 323B. Article 323A, as you know, are for administrative tribunals. All the other tribunals like NGT, National Company Law Tribunal, all the others are formed under Article 323B. However, even then, despite this article, Foreigner Tribunal was actually set up by an executive order. It was set up by an executive order and not under this article of the Constitution. Tell me in the comment section, this is your homework, why or how was it possible? How is it possible that if the Constitution says these tribunals will be set up under this article, how is it that they were set up by a executive order? Do let me know in the comment section. The answer in the meanwhile is B. Any two are correct. This is the article in the Indian Express newspaper about the Supreme Court judgment on the citizenship law, where the Supreme Court has said that you cannot randomly pick a person and say you are an accused and then put a burden on them that you prove that you are not an accused or you prove that you are not guilty. The law enforcement agencies have to give at least some initial proof to start the case. Question number 3. Consider the following statements with regards to rules governing civil servants in India. Number 1. All IAS, IPS and Indian Forest Services officers are governed by All India Service Conduct rules from the time that they allotted their service and begin training. Second, Rule 11.1 says that officers must or may accept gifts from near relatives or personal friends with whom they have no official dealings on occasion like weddings, anniversaries, funerals, religious functions, etc. So it's not that IAS officers can't take any gifts. They can on these occasions if they have no official dealing with the person. Third, officers must report to the government any gift whose value is over 5,000 rupees. How many of these given statements are correct? Now again, this is a question because of the contentious issue of some IAS officers that have come in the news about allegedly using fake certificates to get their seat. With respect to that, this question is important about the rules that govern civil servants in India. First is correct, so is second. The rules say that you can accept gifts on some occasions from those people who don't have any official business with you. Third is wrong. The threshold is 25,000. So if you if you receive a gift over 25,000, then you have to report it to the government. Whichever government you're working under, you have to report them if you have a gift over 25,000. This threshold keeps on changing. 20,000 threshold was decided in 2015. So from time to time, it will keep on changing. The government, for example, might change this later as well and increase the threshold to 50,000, 40,000, whatever. So it keeps on changing from time to time. The answer thus is again B. Two of these are correct. The third statement here again is wrong. There is this long article with respect to probationary IAS officer Pooja Kherkar. Do read about this in the Indian Express newspaper. Question number 4. How is MCLR, that is marginal cost of funds based lending rate, best defined? It is the lowest rate that a bank or lender can offer. Second, it is the lowest rate that RBI can offer to the banks. Third, it is the lowest rate at which government securities can be sold in the secondary markets. None of the above. Simple, straightforward question. What is MCLR? The answer is A. This is the lowest interest rate that a bank can offer to the customers. So if you go to a bank, this is the lowest rate at which they can offer you a loan. This is called as MCLR. It's an all-inclusive rate. The reason why it is in the news is SBI, Bank of Baroda have increased their MCLR by 5 to 10 basis points. But that means they have increased the rate at which they will offer loans. Usually, other loans, for example, let's say home loan, car loan, are decided as per MCLR. So it would be something like MCLR plus 2, MCLR plus 1. So when MCLR changes, the other loans that are given out also change. The rate of interest also changes. Question number 5. Consider the following statements with regards to the office of Deputy Speaker in the Lok Sabha. Number 1. Article 93 of the Constitution does not provide any time frame for the election of Speaker or the Deputy Speaker. Second, the date of election of Deputy Speaker is fixed by the President. and members are informed via bulletin according to the rules and procedures of the parliament. Third, the rule is held via a ballot paper. Deputy Speaker, again, it's one of those offices that remains in the news, especially whenever the new Lok Sabha is formed. There was an article in the Hindu newspaper a couple of days back. That is why I've asked this question. First is true. Article 93 talks about election of Speaker and Deputy Speaker, but does not give any time limit. When would it be conducted after Lok Sabha is constituted? Second is wrong. The date of election of Deputy Speaker is actually decided by the Lok Sabha Speaker. The President does not decide. The Lok Sabha Speaker decides the date for election. Third is correct. The vote is held via a ballot paper if required. Or usually it is not required because it is usually decided by consensus. But if it is required, then the vote will be through a ballot paper. The answer thus is B. Any two are correct. First and the third one. Second statement here is wrong. Here a detailed article in the Hindu newspaper about the post of the Deputy Speaker. Do read about that. We'll end today's class with an important infographic. As I told you earlier, at the end of every daily quiz session, we'll bring a new piece of information. For the past couple of days, we have been discussing important quotes of the day. Today, it's an important infographic. This infographic is about MSME sector in India. It contains all the details that you would require to answer any mains question regarding MSME sector. It contains definition of micro, small and medium enterprises. It contains the challenges that the sector faces. What are the different government initiatives in this regard? The Champions Portal, Aspire Scheme, Udyam Assess Portal, etc. It also talks about what are the different states that have the most number of MSMEs in India, and it talks about the financial support that have been given to them. 27 June is the International MSME Day. Do remember this. This is a very important piece of infographic for the mains examination. This brings us to the end of today's session. If you are new here, once again requesting you to hit the subscribe and the like button. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Jai Hind.